Hey, it's Fitz, and if you don't know who I am, here's a quick bio. I'm a veteran sports journalist who writes, does TV, radio, daily YouTube videos, and I'm a longtime podcaster. Also, I have metastatic stage 4 prostate cancer that came out of remission in 2023. During the pandemic, my doctors advised me to stay at home, and the Life of Fitz podcast was born. 5 years later, I'm back in my cancer battle and continuing this podcast with season 6. As I call the many people I've met through my 35 years in sports journalism, and those who are involved in my cancer journey. Plus, we'll add in a few friends we've met along the way who are facing their own obstacles in life. Welcome to my life and the Life of Fitz podcast. Presented by the great people at Blueville Nursery in Manhattan. You probably already realized this one isn't like the others. And if you're listening on podcast and it's audio only, I am wearing a Pearl Snap Western shirt. Because today we're going to talk music, a lot of music. If you don't like country music or the process of creating music and chasing your dreams, this one isn't for you. I hope you listen though, because it's a really cool one. And I really have enjoyed getting to know this dude. And I've known who he is for a long time. Came through Kansas State, left in the early 2000s and chased his dream in Nashville and quit. And then after getting married, went back to Nashville. And here he is. Blaine Younger is from Victoria, Kansas. And being a singer-songwriter just wasn't a way to make a living for him. It's who he is. And it took him a while to realize that. One of the things I try to emphasize in this podcast isn't about health it's about overcoming obstacles. And maybe it's just persisting in a career that fulfills a dream, fills your heart, maybe not your wallet as much. And believe me, as a sports journalist, I can understand that. But you do it because it feeds your soul. This is what you're meant to do, even if you're not getting wealthy like some of your friends have. I love talking music, and Blaine Younger and I are about to do that. He is a singer-songwriter. This is what he does. He goes to work a few days a week with some other people, gets together and writes songs. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And now, because of the change in the music industry, where the money is mostly being made by bands playing shows, whether it's in a bar or a stadium, that's where the money's coming from. We don't buy music anymore. We might buy a subscription to a streaming service, but all of that money, the royalties from the plays on the radio and the purchases of albums, it's all gone for the most part. And thus, the ability of songwriters to make a living has gotten really challenging. And we're going to talk about all that with my dude and fellow Wildcat, Blaine Younger in Nashville, Tennessee. And now it's off to Nashville for us, and Blaine Younger joins us on the Life of Fitz podcast. Partner, thank you so much. I wore my Western shirt.
Yeah, that is a beautiful shirt.
Oh, I didn't finish snapping them either.
Well, you're not supposed
to. I was in a rush.
God.
The great thing about Pearl Snaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought my wife wants that. So let's dive into your journey. You're from Victoria, Kansas.
Yep.
Beautiful little town right there off I-70.
Yep.
What was life like growing up in Victoria?
Gosh, just like any small town in Kansas. I mean, now being in the city, like people are like, you grew up in a small town. I'm like, yeah, 1,200 people. And I'm like, you don't even know small. But I'm like, I wouldn't trade it for the world because I didn't know any different. We just found our own ways to have fun and grew up around hardworking people and drank probably too much beer, and you know how it goes. But man, I raising kids now, I do think we became well-rounded kids because we had to do everything. We had to play every sport. We had to do the play, had to do the clubs and stuff. And so I think small town, schools offer that for kids. I mean, not to get deep into that, but as opposed to growing up in the city. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think you learn to solve problems when you live out away from everything else, where every solution's a phone call away.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Tractor breaks down, the truck breaks down. You got to figure it out.
Yeah. Figure it out, or call your neighbor, and they're willing to come over and help you for nothing.
And they always do. If they can, they always do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Small town life. Big city folk criticize it, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded growing up in a smaller town, and I grew up in Salina that's 50K. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have so much respect for rural life in Kansas and other places.
Yeah.
Because it ain't easy at times. You don't have the advantages and all the avenues to do stuff, see stuff, learn stuff, but you do learn a lot of things.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They got it tough out there. I mean, not as many opportunities, but also, I don't know, the simple life. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in a way, better people. I don't know.
Well, you know each other.
Yeah.
You know everyone,
yeah.
which is bad, but also good.
Yeah. Bad.
You know everything you did. Blaine was
Yeah.
out drinking on Friday night again. I'm telling you what, that boy needs his butt whooped.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
How did that form you now? That I can hear it in your songwriting. But how did it form who you are?
Gosh,
I went deep on you.
Yeah. No, I tell you what, I mean, I get back to the hard work and just fighting for it. There's always this underdog mentality, chip on your shoulder, being out in the middle of nowhere with, not as many opportunities or not as easy to get places. And then just growing around that type of life and living. In my mind, when I'm in these writing rooms in Nashville, it's weird, but sometimes I get on the, love song train or this or that. But a lot of times I just transport right back to a country road outside of Victoria, Kansas, and think about what those people are doing or what I did growing up. And, so the hard work, just, being able to fight for everything you can get. And, and then the lyric, just writing about stuff, small town living. Yep.
I hear it in your writing. So when, take me through post Victoria and up to you moving to Nashville.
Gosh, it's post Victoria. Yeah. So K-State was, went there. I thought I could be an engineer, and after a semester, I went over to the marketing school, and glad I did it. I mean, a well-rounded degree, and I learned a lot, and I'm applying it every day, so, but funny thing is, right after that in 2002, I moved down to Nashville and, got here for about a year, and it just was overwhelmed and homesick and all this stuff. And so I moved back and, got the real job and everything. But that's when kind of I got my chops and started playing with bands around, Kansas and the region, every county fair. We got to play Country Stampede a couple years, all the dive bars, and just really learn, how music works and how to manage people at a young age and write, some of my early songs. Then from there, I kind of turned my back on it after a couple albums. I just didn't see any way up or any way forward. I'm ready to settle down, start my life. Got married, had twin boys. They're 12 now. But yeah, they're 12 years old now. When we moved to Nashville, they were only 3. So, but, just kind of, that whole thing, settling down, got married, but when my boys were born, I tell everybody this, I just felt like I needed to bring music back into the household. And I think I needed a release or a way to, deal with being a new dad and all that, especially 2 of them. And so I started writing songs again and gotten involved with some organizations in Nashville. And one thing led to the next and caught the bug. And my wife thought it sounded like an exciting journey. So we brought our boys down here, and we're in Nashville living the dream. So called these days, but
thank God for her.
Yeah. Thank God for her.
She carries that veto vote.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of votes in this household 1-1.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
It turns out one is bigger than the other one. And they don't tell you that. There's no instructions to this stuff, guys. But I appreciate it. I think that's why maybe we've kind of connected on social media is I flirted with the best job interview I've ever went on was a job I didn't get because the dude saw right through me and said, "You don't want this job. You belong in sports journalism. That's what you really want to do."
Yep.
So that was the point of my life. And that would have been the early 90s when I'm wrestling with the reality that I have chosen a profession that is incredibly hard and even difficult to make a living at.
Yep. Absolutely.
But God dang, I'm happy doing it.
God,
and for me, it just became, I can't do a job I don't like. My job has to be part of my life woven into it, or I'm going to be miserable. And that's what music probably is to you.
Man, I mean, you hit home there. I remember at my latest real job before I moved down here, I was sitting behind a computer selling stuff, making great money. I'm actually back at that company now, part-time, but down here. But I was just like thought about every day about being a musician. And I'm like, and I was, yeah, same thing, kind of not a miserable person, but just knew I wasn't feeding my soul in the best I could be as far as a dad or husband or brother or friend or anything, because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to. And the fact that I'm doing that now, I feel like I can bring more to this world and be a better one of all those things I mentioned. So, yep.
Yeah, I'm much happier. God, I would have been unfun for my wife if I'd gotten out of this. But it's similar story. I've got a job. I got a good job. And next thing you know, I'm saying, hey, let's start our own thing and let's move to Manhattan, Kansas, which isn't Nashville, but
sure. No,
uproot everything. Off we go. Both jobs gone. Let's go do this.
Yep. That's so awesome. I'm so glad you did, because you've gotten me through a lot of K-State bad nights and a lot of good nights. I sit there, listen to the podcast right after the games, and you talk me up, or you don't let me get too hot. But I love everything you're doing, man.
Thank you, brother. So spell out how does a songwriter make a living? I've asked Nick Walsh this, but everyone's experience is different. How much has it changed? Because it has changed. Streaming has changed everything. So how does a songwriter go about his business on the daily in Nashville?
Yeah. So making money, the only way to make money is if you got a song on the radio these days, because that's the only way it's paying. Now, back in the day, there used to be thousands of writers getting outside cuts, they call them, like not written with the writer. And if you got a song on those CDs or cassette tapes that we used to, and you bought a physical copy, the songwriters were getting paid great money, even just for an album cut. Now, these days, with streaming and everything, they're just paying fractions of pennies to songwriters. There's still a little bit in the master for the artists and the labels and stuff. So really the only way is, to get that single on the radio and watch it climb the charts. And the longer it's on the radio, the better it is. I know people are fighting every day for the streaming side of things to raise those, I don't know, the monies that the songwriters get. But as far as day to day, I mean, it has changed, and it used to be, you can 1 out of every 10 songs I hear, if you're a great writer or a good writer in town, you'd go and it'd get cut, because it'd be good enough. But now it's just like, maybe 1 out of every 100 or 1 every out of 1,000. Or I feel like amazing songwriters that go down in history might have 2 to 3 big songs these days, and it has changed because like the outside cut, it used to be the publisher and the middleman, but now it feels like a lot of us songwriters are just trying to get with the next, big thing, the next artist, so we can kind of latch onto them and we write their story, and they might become the next big thing because of, stuff like social media, TikTok, Instagram, the shows we were talking about, how people discover, music these days. And so that's part of the strategy too. I just released a new album. I was really focused on the songwriting thing for years and years and years, and still am, but there's just more money and the artist side of things. And I feel like you just kind of got to put yourself out there in all kinds of different pockets just to say, hey, look at me, to get noticed. And it's been a fun journey the past 6 months, releasing that thing, starting to play some shows again. But that's kind of the reason I did it, just to, I've written probably over 1,000 songs. It's like some of these felt like me. I'm like, all these are going to get recorded. So let's throw some stuff out there in the world, and, I can feel good about it and bring my buddies in and make some memories with fans and friends and family. And that's what we're doing. So,
well, it's a great album, brother.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I've listened to it a number of times. I enjoy it very much. It kind of, I hope you take this as a compliment, kind of has a 90s, early 2000s country feel to it. I hate modern country. I hate modern Nashville country with the backbeat and the. It's driven a lot of fans into what we mentioned earlier. I'm into Americana, which is a kind of a wider genre that includes Red Dirt and Texas, and but I'm noticing being into that Americana that there are a lot of successful songwriters in Nashville off doing their own thing, doing exactly it, trying to make a living. I'm fans of guys like Brent Cobb, who I mentioned to you earlier.
Yep.
Leon Meitzen. I don't know if you know who Leon is. He's
Don't know
Gabe Lee, all songwriters in Nashville who are now recording their own stuff, and it's really unique and country, and yet not radio country. So I think it's really cool that you're out there doing your own grind, and if the artist gets money off of Spotify and their songwriter doesn't, let's get you some money.
Yeah, why not? And and the money will come if the big money will come if it's supposed to. But for now, it's just not. I mean, somebody said on a podcast the other day, they don't know I'd do it for free because it just does feed my soul. But in the meantime, enjoying the ride, and if it comes, it comes. So,
yep. So how many songs? You said 1,000 songs.
I've been down here 8 years. So gosh, I've probably written that.
So hold on. The creative process for me isn't going to work. It isn't like, man, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I, as a writer, when I'd get deep into something, I'd have to have office hours to do it. But to me, it's showing up at a place to write songs with other folks doesn't seem very organic at all.
Yeah, I hear it.
It's got to put your nose down and be creative, which is a strange idea to me.
Yeah, there's a couple different takes on that. I mean, I remember moving to town and Chris Christopherson, there were stories about him. He was getting so many cuts because he was the guy just writing that many more songs and just showing up and doing it. Now, Willie Nelson will say something like, you'll never get a good song unless you only write when the inspiration hits you. I guess that's the good thing about co-writing, though, is because you'll go into it's like going to the gym. You got somebody to hold you accountable, but also if you're having a bad day, there's two other brains in the room that you can feed off of.
That's true.
And just get creative. And I think I think you can do it both ways. I tend to believe you do have to set those hours and show up and be ready and willing to write. And the whole when the inspiration hits you thing kind of gets captured when you're reading a book or watching a movie or driving by a sign on interstate and you type that idea into your phone and it's mulling in your mind, until you get to that room. So I guess that's kind of my take on all that. But,
and you guys are like, you're kinky songwriting swappers, right? Like you'll be with a couple guys one day and maybe a couple. Is that how it works?
Pretty much. I think you find your crew and the people, you find buddies that you can hang with them. Yeah, you click and can kind of open up with, but it's also like I was talking earlier about the artist thing. It's probably the smartest room to have an artist in there that you can think can take off. Maybe the writer who does the lyrics and maybe some of the melody, and then a producer over here that can have you a track done and give it some life by the time you're done that day. And it's an amazing thing. So that's the ideal room, but there's also rooms where you just like to get together with buddies and see what you can come up with. And those sometimes are where the best songs come out of. But
I would agree. Just probably with a beer involved.
Yes. Yeah. Generally.
Life is better with a beer involved. There you go.
There's a song right there.
Right there. I want to talk about some tracks.
Okay.
The song Heartland that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
Not the Midwest Heartland, because that's how it's pronounced in the song. What was the inspiration behind that song? I love it.
Gosh, I haven't talked about that one in a while because we released that one as a single a couple years back. But
coming back to the hometown, settle back into that, slow down, put your pretty little feet where your roots ran. When you gonna let your heart land? Ever since you left, I've been hanging on to that don't go kiss by the harvest moon, praying you'll find that the world ain't flat. When you gonna let your heart land? In the middle of the USA, let it fall, let it fall, let it fall my way. I just wanna love you like
it's just, again, just growing up in a small town. And I think in the back of my mind, subconsciously, when you're coming back to the hometown, I was probably mulling over, for me, it comes out as a love story and like, hey, when you coming back, when you're out there chasing your dreams. But for me, it was maybe somebody talking to me back home, whether my mom or like, when are you going to be done with that and come back here? Subconsciously, we turned it into a love song. And I mean, my wife was going to school in Lawrence. When she graduated, she moved back to Hayes, where I was at the time. So there's some of that in there. Have a couple co-writers on it, but a big part of it was just being clever with the lyric. When you're going to let your heart
You're
land.
really clever with your lyrics.
Well, thanks, man. Man.
Well, I mean, because it really struck me. I'm listening to Heartland. I'm expecting, the Midwest is great, and it's like, where does your heart land? When does your heart land? And it's like, wow,
thank you.
That's a cool. And another one I absolutely love is Jack and Jill. What a great turn of phrase there.
Thank you, man.
It's about one thing and it ain't about that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I wrote that one by myself. It's funny, but down here and even back home, we were talking about drinking earlier. It can be a good thing, but it can be a bad thing. And I've had several buddies that it's been a bad thing and they've had to completely turn their back on it, but they've found a great, inspiring, hopeful life on the other side of it.
He liked the old number 7. He loved a honky-tonk high. But him and that whiskey never got along. He faced the music one night. She gave him one last chance. She said the bottle on me. He quit cold turkey right then and there and dumped it all down the sink. He had a choice between Jack and Jill. He chose love and he married that girl. He manned up and he climbed that hill. He had a choice between Jack and Jill. He had a choice and he chose Jill.
And that's what it was all about. I wrote it for them. And it's just, he had a choice between Jack and Jill and he chose Jill and life is great, so, yeah.
Jack's overrated anyhow.
Yeah.
If I had to choose between Woodford and Jill, we might have an issue. Jill better be attractive.
Or Weller for me.
Yeah, exactly. I always laugh. This is totally off topic. I always laugh when I hear about the old days, the Rat Pack, and Jack was Frank Sinatra's drink. That was the elite bourbon.
Interesting. I had not heard that.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Jack all the time.
Yeah. It's funny.
My dad had old Fitzgerald laying around. I still haven't tried it. It's supposed to be good. I don't believe it.
My dad had
my name. I don't trust it.
Old charter laying around is what my dad. But if you haven't been, speaking of bourbon, we went on that Bourbon Trail in Kentucky, and if you're a bourbon guy, boy, it's cool to see. It's really neat. Yeah.
In a ironic life twist, I have not been on that, but my wife has.
Oh, I'll be damned. Yeah.
She did. She works at a retirement community, Middle Ark Hills here in Manhattan. And they would take trips, mostly the independent living residents and hop on a bus, and they did the Kentucky bourbon tour.
Oh, I'll be darned. Yeah.
Over a number of days. So they had a blast. I need to do that because I'm fascinated by it. And what a strange way to make a living. Put something in the barrel for 5 to 15 years and hope it's okay when it's done.
It's amazing. And the amount of bourbon they're pumping out of there, it's just like buildings and buildings of barrels. It's crazy. I have a funny story about Metal Arc.
Oh, go. Go. I got them all in.
I tell this to people a lot, but I was in a fraternity at K-State for a couple of years, and a part of the initiation was riding that bird up there. Like at midnight or something. Just always remember Metal Arc Hills because of that. Yeah.
What fraternity was this?
It was DU.
DU. Oh, of course. They're gone now, aren't they?
Are they really?
I think they are.
No way. Dang.
No, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking ATO because they're gone.
Okay. Yeah. I think DU's still around. Pretty sure.
Man, I tell you what, the fraternity life has changed so much. These kids really? Have no idea. Just 20, 25 years ago, let alone 40 years ago. What life was like,
what we could get away with. And yeah, it was starting to turn a little bit. They were going non-alcohol in ours because they just built a new facility. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. But
yeah, there's got to be a compromise involved there.
I don't know.
If I wanted to join an academic house, I would have done that.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez.
Well, you know what? A lot of the best things I learned at college had nothing to do with the classroom. You join a group of guys. I knew no one, not a single person in that fraternity, other than the guys I met in the rush process. And there's something to be said about learning to live with strangers that become brothers, literally. I mean, I'm still tight with them. And and also a very K-State thing. It's probably common in other places too, but I feel like it is with K-State. The Pike House had this incredible mix of Western Kansas to Kansas City.
Yeah.
And you learned about each other's cultures and learned to adapt to them. You know, big city guys learn about what rural life's about, and all of us from smaller towns learn about big city life. And really, you're different people when you arrive at college, and you're the same person for the most part when you leave. It's crazy.
Exactly. So another thing I remember is, even small town, you might be in the same fraternity or dorm or class as your crosstown rival or cross county rival. And all of a sudden you'll meet these people like, well, you ain't so bad.
I know.
But you hated them, boy, in high school.
That's so true, man. I was like, I ended up being friends with them. It's like, I felt like the Jets and Sharks just got together and it's a dated reference.
Just crazy. Yeah.
Let's take a short break and hear from our sponsor, Blueville Nursery.
For competitively priced landscape design, irrigation, and lawn maintenance, turn to Blueville Nursery, a family-owned business with more than 50 years of experience. You can trust the Blueville team to design and create a landscape that will accentuate your property's aesthetics. And visit our garden store 6 days a week for the best products in the area. From ornamental trees, shrubs, and flowers, Blueville has it all. Blueville Nursery, located on West Anderson Avenue in Manhattan, Kansas.
Now, let's return to the studio. You basically just go to work every day and write songs.
Yeah, pretty well. Like I said, I got a part-time job and I do that half the week. And then half the week I write songs, or like I said, the last 6 months, I've really been concentrating on booking shows and getting this album out and stuff. But that kind of works for us. My wife works for a record label downtown in the tax department. She's full-time down there, and the boys are 12. They're in middle school. So it's just kind of a good balance for us, how it all works out. But I'll tell you what, if I got to where I want to be, I probably have to and end up going full-time on the songwriting side of things, but still working on all that. So
no, it's fine. You got to do what you got to do. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, life now isn't about what it was for my parents or probably even your parents. Well, rural life is different. Totally. It's probably the same, actually.
Yeah.
Equipment's different, but the life's pretty much the same. But you just get a job and you end it with a gold watch.
Yeah.
And I think now everyone's a little more comfortable. Back then, you've had 7 different jobs. What's wrong? And now it's like, just cruise through life, touch this, touch that, and see where you end up. And I think that's glorious. I'm kind
Isn't that something? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even, there's still people in that generation. I'm like, how do you do it? The same job. And I don't know. And I think for me, maybe it's selfish too, but it's just more of a life thing, and touching different cities and different avenues, even if it's the same job, but with a different company that's a little more, open and free. And it's just, I think that's what life's about. And I'm glad it's kind of turning that way personally, but I've always told people when they say you're from Kansas, are you a farmer? I'm going, no, I'm way too soft for that. God, are these oil field workers? Holy cow.
I need air conditioning and a 9 a.m. wake, you know?
I'm right with you, man. You do well down here.
Yeah, exactly. I exactly would. I would not do well because although I don't think the same as Broadway as I used to, but I would be down there at Tootsie's listening to music till 2 a.m. every night.
I know. It's a hard town. And God, it's so expensive. It's
Broadway
crazy.
went from being awesome to just sucking.
Yeah, I agree.
Just commercialized.
Yep.
It's yeehaw Vegas.
Yeah. And everybody that lives here doesn't go down there generally unless family's in town, just to show them, but there's some outskirts bars, or even the Midtown area is a little cooler, but even that's getting a little commercialized now. So I'm not sure where we're going to go, but
man, I just love the idea of wandering into a bar and being able to hear someone. Then 5 years, you're like, hold on. I heard that guy. One of my favorite stories. I'm sorry, this reflects poorly on him. or awesomely. I'm not sure. Many years ago, Rivals.com, when I worked for them, is based out of Nashville. So is 24/7 Sports, who I work for now. But
okay. I didn't know.
they're both out of Nashville. And so we'd have conferences, and we'd go different places, and we were at the Tin Roof back before the Tin Roof was really fully commercialized. It was a cool Nashville bar. Now it's everywhere.
Yep.
I can't figure out why it's so quiet inside, but it's my first time there. There was a band on the back loading dock area. This is really cool. I mean, they've got this loading dock that can open up for the inside or the outside, so the band can play either way. Well, they're playing on the outside patio. So I go out there and the band's great.
Huh.
They're great. And then Clay Walker, hammered, climbs up on the stage, gets them to play David Bowie, and nails it. Absolutely destroys it.
Oh my gosh.
And then the band's like, oh yeah, and they start playing more and more. Meanwhile, the lead singer's back at the metal door that just pissed as all hell. He can't get the microphone back
out of the spot. God,
it's great. It was freaking
That's
Nashville.
hilarious. I've recently seen some clips of Clay Walker doing Purple Rain on stage. That's funny.
Yeah,
It must be his thing. Yeah.
And that amazes me about those guys and gals that have such a, I don't know how they do it. I can't remember the lyrics to my favorite songs, but not to remember your own lyrics, but then, oh yeah, I know all the lyrics to Purple Rain.
Yeah. Still.
Why?
Yeah. I know it. I tell you what, this recent stint of me getting back into playing and relearning stuff, it's a little harder when you're a little older. It's to soak it in. I learned so many songs when I was, learning songs, and it's crazy. It's a little harder these days. So, but we did it right.
Well, you mentioned, I'll get to this in a second. You mentioned Meriden in another conversation we were having.
Oh yeah.
They got a great little bar up there that has an outdoor patio, and they've got a stage out there. And so I saw a guy named Joe Stamm, the Joe Stamm Band. He's out of Illinois. He's country, but he's in his 40s. Really good. He was really enjoyable.
Okay.
He was getting ready to sing one of his favorite songs that he wrote, and he blanked. He said, I can't remember the chord procession at all. I can't, I don't know what to do. I've never had this happen. It was like, you felt so bad for him, but I'm thinking, how does this not happen all the time?
Yeah.
Sometimes your mind's like, yeah, you don't know your name today.
Yeah. Yeah. People got a lot going on up here, especially, I mean, I write, 3 songs a week and then learning all this new stuff. But I remember, I've been on stage before and I couldn't remember those first few lines. What's the second verse type of thing? So, yeah, it happens, but you're right. How does it not happen more? Yeah.
One time at Stampede, I won't mention the artist. He's passed now, but he's an Okie. Mm-hmm. He went to the long end of the runway. His crew taped the lyrics of the song to the floor. And Toby Keith still screwed up. It's his name. Red Solo Cup. Maybe the easiest song ever to remember.
Really?
Like,
okay,
well, Toby was a little drunk at the time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Weren't we all at Stampede?
Yeah. God. Yeah.
That whole, I find this interesting, that whole music festival thing.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
It's gotten really challenging because, back in the day when they started up Stampede, I saw Kenny Chesney when he was young play 2 p.m.
Yep.
I saw incredible acts be not the opener for the main act, but the opener for the opener when they had hits. Because they could, Stampede and festivals like that could afford everyone.
Yep.
Now, because of everything happened with streaming, touring is the lifeblood of a band.
Yep.
It's not about the publishing rights or music sales. We're all freeloaders for the most part. We might pay for a music service, but we ain't paying for the album.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked buying albums. It was like my way of saying, yeah, I love this shit. That's my kind of thing. But now those festivals have kind of fallen off because Stampede, it got crappy. They'd have a headliner act that wasn't a headliner act. And the guy opening for him was a nobody. You'd never heard of him. Yeah. He had no hit. Yeah. So it's just, and I understand the economics of it, but now it's kind of come back to more of a grassroots thing, hasn't it? It's like there's maybe a few huge festivals out there, but a lot just going on for unsigned artists or independent artists, which you are, and it's huge now, and it's viable, which is wonderful. Just playing their songs and getting their music out there. It's like a rolling advertisement for you guys.
Yeah, it's great. And I guess social media is helping with all that. You're just discovering a nobody out of the blue, you know? But yeah, isn't that too bad? Things just got so expensive, and I think they tried to move it around. Now we got a new one coming back there, which we've talked about, which is cool. I always thought that was just the best spot for a music festival there in Manhattan.
I told you this, and I have no involvement with that new one coming out. In fact, I don't even know who's running it. But early August, Below the Dam at Tuttle Creek is about the last place I want to be.
That's true.
In early August anywhere. I might take outside in Vegas over that. It'll be 70% humidity and 98 degrees. And
end of June was bad enough, right? We just sit out there and soak, and I'm like, holy cow.
It the lobster pot. Go sit in the lobster pot and listen to music, boy.
That's true. But it's beautiful out there. So yeah, God, what if they could move that into the fall or something? Or maybe it's the students being there. I don't know
there might be some people looking at something at the football stadium.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Let's go. That's an interesting. Let's go there, because what Oklahoma State did was absolutely incredible. And I mean, if you're not familiar, folks, Stillwater has this amazing musical heritage. You know about Garth Brooks, but there's been a lot of people come after him. And I don't know if he's the one who set the tone. It's my suspicion that the songwriter culture in Stillwater was there when he got there.
Yeah, I feel like
and a lot of it's in my genre now, the Turnpike Troubadours and, you know, guys like that. Cross Canadian Ragweed was the big reason why they had that, because they had broken up and got back together. Oklahoma State made about $5 million off of that. It might be more. They sold out 4 shows in their football stadium.
Yeah.
That's so cool. But what is it about Stillwater it is the same as Kansas State in so many ways, but that musical culture and Lubbock is absolutely incredible. And we just don't have the same kind of opportunities right now. If you were in your position, I don't know where you'd go strum your guitar at a bar. I have no idea where that'd be.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? I don't know. They just support it down there, but I mean, or maybe they're close enough to Texas, because I've always said Texas actually plays their people on the radio.
Right.
And that's a lot of stations, all they play. So I think that's a big factor there. Gosh, who knows? But I've often wondered that too. Why there and not K-State? There's always great musicians, people that come out of there, and you'll see them spark up here and there, but nothing like Stillwater has created, for sure.
Yeah, it's incredible. I love the argument between Texas country and red dirt country. Red dirt's Oklahoma-ish, and they like bicker like siblings, but then they play each other's music all the time. Like it's the same family.
It's all the same. Yeah, it's like, are you a little? It's just like, well, it's like the country music genre now. It's like you got your pop, you got your Stapleton, you got your now this Americana. It's like you got your Beyoncés and your Post Malones even. So everybody come on in, you know. But
because there's no more loyal fan than a country fan.
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
they will.
Yep.
It's the thing I always loved about Stampede is the artists never felt like back in the day that they were above their audience, that they were somehow better. I think you get that vibe from other genres. You know, we're putting on a show, and country is like, we're here to sing for you. Yeah. You know, and there's just such a great connection, and fans become lifetime fans, almost like what it would have been for Springsteen or the Stones, but now it's country music. And I think that's a really cool, unique thing that people bond with the artists so tightly at country music, because you do have access to them. You do get on occasion to see them and be close to them.
Yeah. You can imagine them coming out to the beer garden and drinking a beer with you. And they probably do a lot of times. Or some people say, why did Luke Combs go over? It used to be everybody had to be so thin and sexy and good looking, and not that Luke Combs isn't, but bigger dude.
He's not. You don't need to be nice. Luke's not going to listen to this.
But he sings like crazy, but it's because the fans feel like that's their buddy, and they can relate.
He's got that.
Yeah.
That gentle giant.
Yep.
As does Jelly Roll. Give me your opinions on Jelly Roll.
Same thing. I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like his lane. I mean, I'm religious and Christian and all about, second chances and stuff like that. And I even like some of his rock influences on a few of those first songs he put out that weren't as, Christian, I guess, or whatever you call it, second chance type music. But I kind of like it.
I actually agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's come to country music not as a trend, as a way to make a buck, which I'm sorry, Beyonce and Posty, that's what you're doing. Although Post Malone's pretty good at it.
Yeah, I agree.
But like Jelly Roll, Post Malone, they're both so incredibly talented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That they just switch genres and they get it. They know how to do it. For me, it's the equivalent of being an F1 driver. And now next week, you're going to drive NASCAR. They couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And that's changing musical genres that are polar.
Yeah.
He was a rapper at one point. It's crazy. But the talent level is just off the charts. They're born to do this, aren't they?
Talent level, and just the way country music has opened up the genre.
There's only so much bandwidth on the radio. And even in some ways within the hearts of the collective fan, the true country fan that Nashville can put out farting noises and they'll go, I love this new song. But what I don't like about it is they might be soaking up the sunlight that belongs to a young artist that has got it all. Yeah. But now the bandwidth has been eaten up. And I don't expect them to say, I don't want to make a buck. I understand their motivations, but I feel for those people that have been grinding. Blaine, like you.
Yeah.
Who might have that magical song that can't find the space out in the public to get it done, to get over the hump.
Yeah. And it's what do they say? Like 20 artists or 25 artists might be on the radio all year. There's just so much space as far as radio goes. And then just being different enough to cut through on the social media, or the way, have tattoos on your face or take your shirt off or whatever it might be. I mean, it's just like, how do you cut through? Or, luckily some true talent is being discovered, like maybe the Zack Topps or whoever, but it's just,
you for mentioning him.
Yeah, it's just, but the other side of that is like, there used to be so many gatekeepers, and there still are gatekeepers even in the streaming world, but at least social media, opens that gate a little bit. So
folks, if you don't know who Zack Topps is, and I just introduced a buddy of mine to him who's a country fan, because he's kind of existed over in the, the alternate Americana genre, and now he's kind of getting over there. Mm-hmm. He's 90s country. Everyone says he's Alan Jackson's illegitimate son. He looks like Alan Jackson, shorter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that kid's incredible.
He's awesome. Play that guitar and
because he's got the bluegrass background, and now he's applied it to this.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Smooth voice, cool look,
beautiful.
And plays the guitar like crazy. But even the way he writes his songs, they're a little bit cheesy, like they were in the 80s and 90s, which is fine.
Sounds like the radio.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I can't believe I remembered the song title. That's a rarity to me. But one of the things I do appreciate about country, and it started with rap, to be real honest, when Jason Aldean rolled the song out that had a little rap flavor to it and kind of took off. But you can hear the influences now pretty clearly, whether it's pop or even rap. But Hardy's a hard rock guy.
Yep.
He is, but he writes incredible music. But when you see him or listen to his stuff, I'm like, whoa, he's getting after it.
Yeah.
I like that even though I'm not a big fan of the current state of Nashville music, I love that the melting pot is coming back, which is what Americana music is. But I know you're from over here, but you probably have some rural in you or understanding of this life. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And maybe that's one thing that streaming opened up. Instead of having to buy a
Right.
specific album or listen to a specific radio station, these, I call them kids, they come up listening to it all. I mean, I can relate it to maybe listening to what my older brothers and sisters were listening to, 70s and 80s rock. And then I came up on 90s country music. So just mesh of everything turns me into a Steve Earle Mellencamp kind of heartland rock red dirt guy. Those
are great examples. Yes.
Yeah. But these people, it was rap and rock and country and even maybe some big band that their mom and dad were listening to. Who knows? But just all that comes together and everybody can do it all now and is familiar with it all. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like kids that grew up in the country when I was pre-streaming, didn't know there wasn't rap back then when I was growing up, but they had no exposure to any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Whatever they had on the radio, which is country, or maybe you pick up some rock signals. But now if you live in Victoria, Kansas, you're going to be a huge rap fan because it's all at your fingertips.
All at your fingertips. It's all on the phone. Yeah, my boy is 12 years old. I'm like, how do you find music? They start singing, oh, it's on the backing track of a YouTube show we're watching, or it's just everywhere, or on a video game, or so it's like, wow, it's just everywhere. Yeah,
it is incredible.
Yep.
And we were talking about that, the musical tracks on Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yellowstone really broke that genre out to more of the public. All of a sudden, people are discovering Shane Smith and the Saints and Turnpike Troubadours and some of those bands. And so that's been really interesting to watch. I was telling you, I just started watching The Waterfront, a new Netflix series, and there's Ryan Bingham, ironically, who is on Yellowstone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting how it's now the cool genre. We're all country.
Yeah. Isn't that fun?
Speaking of 90s rock, While the Beer's Still Cold, that is the most party anthem song that I've heard of yours. And you sang it with some other dudes. Tell me about that song, how it came about.
Man, you say party anthem, but when you listen to the lyric, it's a deep, like meaningful life song.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so everybody in the room had somebody that had, it was one guy's dad passed away at a young age. The other guy, I think his wife's dad had passed away at a young age. My dad, right before I moved to Nashville, had passed away, and he was older. He had a great long life, but we just all came together, and Ian came in, the dude from Meriden, who hadn't gotten back to that, from Mattfield Green. He had the idea, I'm going to strike while the iron's still hot, and I'm going to drink while the beer's still cold. And
I'm going to strike while the iron's still hot, and I'm going to drink while the beer's still cold. While the beer's still cold. Too short, never carried much weight, so you left too soon, and my whole world changed. We took it from a church pew down to a bar stool, cause we knew that's what you want. Talking about
then I started thinking life songs, and how do you react to somebody going to heaven or passing on? Do you obviously you're going to grieve, but part of me, every time I leave those churches or even just hear about it, part of me is like, I better get to live in here and do something with my life. And that's what, that song's really about. But we pumped it up, and it comes off as a party anthem too, because that's part of life too, enjoying a drink, enjoying life, enjoying the people around you. And so I'm glad you said that, but we love it. And that we released that last summer with as a trio, Aerith Old, Mattfield Green, and me, and three of us wrote it. So
I am curious. Mattfield Green is a freaking amazing country band name.
Yeah,
but they're not from Mattfield Green.
They're not. They're from Shawnee, Kansas, and Meriden, Kansas. But one of them always passed the Mattfield Green sign, and he said that'd be a good name for a band. And when they got together down here in Nashville, they named it Mattfield Green because they're Kansas roots. Yeah,
that's funny. There's as you close in on the Manhattan airport from exit 313, there's a 7 Mile Creek. I'm like, that's a good name.
Oh, that is a good name.
I've never heard of 7 Mile Creek other than driving over a bridge. I don't even know there's a damn creek under there.
Depends on the year.
Who is Aerith Old? And is that his real name?
It is his real name. Gosh, we just met down here in Nashville. He's an artist from Alabama.
Yep.
And just got this great gravelly kind of rock voice, but he's, does the country thing. But we've written several songs together, and he's released a few others of mine. But speaking of Broadway, his main gig is playing down there 2 or 3 days a week, but he also releases music and travels, around the region in the country and trying to do the artist thing. So yeah.
Part-time, he entertains co-eds that are there for bachelorette parties.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Playing at Morgan Wallen's, Aldean's, all the places. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
yeah.
That's an incredible song because first of all, it's a fun song. It's a meaningful song. But the group of you really make it good. You all fit together really well.
Appreciate you.
That's not easy to do. I mean,
yeah.
Nashville kind of makes it easy, but they often do that in the studio and have some tricks. You guys, I suspect, just lined up and sang the damn thing.
True voices. But I thought it was cool too. And not comparing us to the Highwaymen or anybody like that, because we're nowhere near that, but just our distinct different voices I thought made it cool. Aerith's got the gravelly, Mattfield Green has the harmony, and I'm just kind of somewhere in the middle there. So yeah,
I thought that made it cool. I thought Aerith Old was a female at one point in that song. I thought there was some like old crotchety Nashville female singer singing.
Smoke too much, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who is this woman?
No, yeah.
Oh, he's got a cool voice.
He sure does. I love it.
It's funny by listening, and this is exactly what your boys are talking about. But by listening to you, now I've found them, and I enjoy them, and now my music service that I use will refer me to other people.
Yep.
I kind of see myself as a musical traveler now. I'm just kind of passing through genres.
That's awesome, man. That's what it's all about.
In a weird corner yesterday, I'm like, I kind of like this, but this is not country. I don't even know what this is. So let's get down to business. How can someone get a hold of you if they want to book a Blaine Younger?
So BlaineYounger.com or just DMs. I mean, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I think they're all Blaine Younger Music, pretty sure. Yeah. Twitter might be Younger Songs. I'm not as active on there, but Blaine Younger Music. But yeah, or just call somebody in Victoria and they'll probably have my number.
We need to get you a string of shows that get you up to Manhattan for a football game, and then a string of shows that get you back to Nashville.
That'd be awesome.
We need to work on that.
Yeah, we're working on booking some stuff. That's another thing. We're playing Herzog Fest in my hometown on August 8th. And I think we're going to be in Norton the night after. We're working on some stuff in Concordia, maybe Topeka, maybe that Meriden Bar. But just trying to get all over the state and just kind of get back to those people who were cheering us on back in the day, and then just see how much if the fire wants to take off or how far it'll go, type of thing. So
I love it, man.
It's kind of the goal. But yeah, I'd love to I haven't been to a game since a couple of years back. We came to the first one, Avery's first game, I think. So yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. Brother, keep chasing that dream, man.
God, appreciate you, man, and everything you do. So
it's not even about being a big star. It's just about being happy, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. And enjoying the ride and surrounding yourself with the people you want to be on that ride with. I totally agree. And you got to leave it in God's hands. You got to do the best you can and work the hardest you can. And if something's going to happen, it's going to happen. But,
I think one of the biggest lessons of my diagnosis is you don't get to choose the path, but you got to trust the path.
I love it. I love that. Yeah.
You got to just keep going forward on that path, and you're going to figure out why you went through this when you get to that.
Yeah. Love that, man. Love that, man. Well, thoughts and prayers with you, brother. So
thank you. God. Thank you so much for joining me. And this was unlike any other Life of Fitz. This was cool. This was pure me fanboying on musicians.
Awesome. I love it. I'm a fanboy of your guys's. I'll be listening this year.
Thank you.
Y'all take care.
You bet. Yeah, that one was a little bit different. I think we probably lost some people along the way as I got nerding into music. But boy, that was fun. I don't know how people do what he does. One of the things I've always told people is, like, I've met a lot of great athletes and amazing coaches, but they're just people. I understand what goes into playing basketball. I understand what goes into coaching or playing football. I get all that. I'm from an athletic background, an athletic family. I don't get music. I don't know how one writes music. I could write lyrics if I knew the right format, maybe. I don't think so. But also puts it all together, and it blows me away. Just remembering the lyrics is a problem for me, let alone writing the music. And Blaine makes it look easy. Go listen to his stuff. I'm glad we dropped in a few clips. I hope YouTube let us do that. And if you have an event, a lot of you out there might have something going on at the ranch, or you need a band for the park, reach out to Blaine on social media and give him a shout. Good dude, wildcat through and through. He's a man chasing a dream, and that's a good way to live life. Folks, and I'm going to talk to the women for a second. If your husband, brother, father, a close friend has not had their PSA checked and they're 45 and older, particularly if there's a history of prostate cancer, or you're an African American because they're more susceptible for whatever reason, get to the doctor. Make sure they get to the doctor and get that PSA scored. It's the best way for early detection of prostate cancer, hands down. Saved my life. If I'd done it earlier, my life would be much different. But here we are. We deal with the circumstances. You cannot unwind time, but you can control how you handle the culmination of your journey. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll talk to you real soon. I appreciate you listening to this week's edition of Life of Fitz. And thank you to all the great people at Blueville Nursery for sponsoring our show. This has been a Spirit Street production.